There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fifth Dimension of the Twilight Zone podcast. Once again, I am your host, Nick, to talk about Rod Serling's influential TV show. You know, the one thing that we do every week, talk about each episode by episode. As always, if you like our stuff, this video, this, podcast, we are on audio feeds. So go there, rate, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But as well as we're on my YouTube channel, so you can go there as well. We're going to be talking about an episode that was very reminiscent of something I remember watching like a few years ago, because I forgot all about what this episode was about. But introductions, as we get to every week. First introduction, of course, is the 2D character who wears all the mustaches and beards while fighting the zombies. That, of course, is Triv from Trivial Theater. What's going on, Triv? How you doing?
I gotta find myself a good size so I can continue to fight, weird zombies, or the same zombies over and over and over again. So
exactly. Just make sure you put that mole in the right place.
Moldy.
I clearly missed something.
Mole.
Oh, yeah, you'll see. Yeah, if you're wondering, me and Triv did a collab on Abraham Lincoln's vs. Zombies from the Asylum Film Company. So look to that, because it was a pretty fun collab. So yeah, very
much.
And the other introduction, of course, as always, is the man that will gladly pay you Tuesday for a GPU today. And that, of course, is Jacob from Jacob Anders Reviews. What's up, Jacob?
Nothing much. And I will pay you Saturday, by the way, for the GPU, not the following Monday, but the one after that.
And it'll still be stuck somewhere
right
in California.
Yeah, well, I was in California for like a week in the same place, and then it came here. Anyway,
did it have fun in California, though?
I don't know. It's gonna have fun here, I hope. It turned on, as you guys witnessed.
Oh yeah, was it covered in glitter? Sign of a good time.
There's a lot of lights and sparkly things on it, so maybe that's what it was. It went to a GPU rave.
I'd say it should have.
Yeah.
Wow. Break its GPU cherry so it does you right.
There you go.
Do that. I'm gonna fuck you up. You dirty big boy. I'm gonna get your ass.
Wow.
Oh, geez. As you can tell, this is no longer a Twilight Zone podcast.
This is the After Dark podcast.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about GPU, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
poor person over here chained up off to the side, like you're next.
I thought you were talking to Jeff.
Oh yeah, Jeff. He knows what's up. I don't have to sweet talk him anymore. Open up them eye holes, bitch.
Oh my god. But clearly, they're not just the GPU and beards of my heart. They're the Kang and Kodos of my heart. And you may not get that reference now, but I will explain it to you when we get to the end of the episode. So, which you actually too might not get that reference either. So I'll leave it till we get to the end. Anyways, so we're back to talk Twilight Zone. We're back to talk an episode that clearly I don't remember watching at all. But when we got to the halfway point of this episode, I'm like, I know this is exactly where this is going. I know what it's trying to do. I know how it's trying to present itself. And I got to ask you guys the same thing. Did you, as always, do you guys remember this episode at all? Does it string a bell besides the fact that it's Roddy McDowall in it? Really? I guess not.
Sorry. I was GPUs first. Go ahead, Jacob.
I don't remember I remembered as I watched it, I was like, okay, this is familiar. But I didn't remember anything about the episode. And no, I didn't pick up on what it was before the end, honestly. Maybe I was just being dense. And like I said, I watched this at last minute and I was rushing through it. I was paying attention, but I didn't pick up on what it was until it happened. So that was probably the best way for me to consume this content. And while it was familiar, like I said, while it was familiar, I'm repeating myself, by the way. While it was familiar, I don't remember it specifically. Love that Roddy McDowall, though.
Oh, yeah.
Cornelius.
Woohoo.
And Caesar.
You can be like Charlton Heston, just kiss that monkey,
Oh, dude. I personally
Oh,
preferred him
yeah.
in Laser Blast, but that was another story for another day. It's a random cameo. I didn't like. I'm kind of in the same boat as Jacob. Like the concept was familiar, but this isn't one that I outrightly remember. In fact, like where I thought this was going, I was trying to think, okay, how are they going to do this on a 1960s TV budget? So I wasn't 100% sure where it was going, but it didn't really end where I thought it was going to go.
Me neither.
I mean, that makes sense. It's an episode that I thought dealt with one scenario, but really deals with another scenario. And I told Triv while I was watching this episode, I'm like, this deals with a little bit of racism. It deals with a little bit of what's going on in today's society. And it turned out to be something completely different, which I wasn't expecting. So, anyways, this episode is season 1, episode 25. People are like all over. Directed by Mitchell Leisen once again. Written by Rod Serling, based off a book or story by Paul W. Fairman called Brothers Beyond the Void. Production code 173-3613. Lucky number 13 or unlucky number 13. Original air date March 25th, 1960. This episode opens up basically Moccasin, however you say his last name, played by Paul Comi. He and Sam Conrad, played by Roddy McDowall, are staring out a chain link fence. There's a lot of chain link fences in Twilight Zone. Apparently, they like their chain link fences as well as mirrors. Maybe they're protecting themselves from Nan Adams.
That's what fences were back then. They didn't have like wood fences and stuff like that. I think they were all chain link, because chain link was, we look at it now and we're like, but back then it was like the new thing. I don't know if it was new, but it was like,
it was fancy.
That's like high dollar shit. Now it's like, chain link. Where the hell do you live? Either out in the country or the ghetto. Sorry to anybody who has chain link.
Hey, my next door neighbor has chain link fences. Screw you.
I've had chain link fence a bunch of times, but I'm just saying perception. That's what people look at.
No, I get you.
But it's ironic that the chain link fence in the building is like, it seems like it's like 5 feet away from the rocket. So I didn't know what exactly was going on there. It's like, you have the big shot of the rocket. They're standing right next to it, it seems like. So I'm like, what if somebody comes out with like, eating a sandwich and they forget there's a rocket launch happening? Do you think they like die of, being caught on fire or something like that?
Their asses
become
roasted.
That they announced that kind of thing. That it's kind of hard to miss. And I think it may be a little loud. Maybe there's like some type of launch sequence. Someone may, be clued into the fact that something is about to explode out there.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe not.
They're just
maybe that's what this episode is about. And everything that happened was actually like a lucid dream, and like they never did all the things that happened in this episode. They died right there at that chain link fence. And it was a cautionary tale about placing your fucking rockets further away from chain link fences.
Rocket safety.
You think it's a precursor to Vanilla Sky?
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Wonder if anybody else would get that lucid dream thing. But yes. Precursor to Vanilla Sky.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so they're talking. I called him Man because I didn't know his name was Sam at first, but Sam asks Markinson if he's afraid, and at first I'm like watching this, I'm like, this is gonna be like a super serious, very, very dark story about racism, about how Sam is a 100% racist individual and Markinson's the what's that word called, liberal individual. He loves everybody, and it started to work out that way in a lot of places because it's called People Are Like All Over. Markinson's very for everybody being the same, and Sam's like, nobody's the same, everybody's different. I don't know, that's where I was leaning towards, but it has a different connotation, I guess, about people being not alike. I don't know. It's I guess we'll maybe you guys have a better explanation, but basically Roddy McDowall Sam is frightened. He doesn't know what's up there. Marcus is trying to he does like a big speech about about fears and stuff like that. But I mean, what do you guys think overall about that? Like, were you guys afraid for these guys? Were you guys like cowering in fear? Were the last 20 minutes of your life before you came on the podcast like a scary endeavor there, Jacob?
Absolutely. I was fucking terrified for them. No, I mean, I like the opening segment. I like this episode, like the first half and like the opening segment of it. It didn't really have a whole lot going on there, but I don't know. I think a lot of it was Roddy McDowall, and I really like Roddy McDowall. He's just always been able to convey like this, like he's supposed to be. I like the character because he's supposed to be a scientist. Scientists are really like interested in the great beyond and all that, and seeing what's going on or wanting to know more. And he even mentions that, but he also mentions and displays more than once that he's scared. And I think that part of that fear that he has is because he is so knowledgeable about things and how they go on, and he's scared that I know shit's messed up out there in the world. It can be, so I'm scared of all the bad things that could happen. But I thought it was a neat little kind of thing where scientists are usually shown to us to be these, when it comes to new things like this, they're shown to be like this jump right in, feet first or head first, whatever they say. And because it's something new and bold. And he actually shows that, no, I'm not about that life. I like sitting in the lab and figuring shit out and just, doing tests and stuff. You're talking about going on to another planet. I want to like watch a video of somebody doing that. That was pretty neat. That was a pretty neat little change of pace for that type of character. Because usually the other guy who, I don't know exactly, was he just an astronaut or was he wasn't a scientist? Or I don't know.
He was like I think he was a pilot. Like he was the flight pilot.
Okay. Because he was actually taking on that role or that type of characteristic that the scientists usually do with these types of things where they're all like gung-ho about it.
His head was in the clouds.
Yeah, because he was more interested in, what can we learn and what's new up there. And Roddy McDowall, the scientist type, is usually the type who's like that. It's like, no, I'm good.
But you think about scientists and they work off of a certain level of hypothesis. The way that they learn stuff is by being able to formulate hypothesis and whatnot. And that makes sense that the way that Roddy McDowall's character was probably more truthful to what a lot of scientists are. There is a curiosity of the great unknown, but there's also that, you step out and you're going to step on ground that is at least a little solid based on what you've learned to that point.
I mean, all I can say is, I'm scared to wake up in the morning, I let alone go to fucking Mars. And it's just kind of a crazy thing to think about. Like you're basically leaving your home planet, probably never to come back, as we learn. And I don't know about how I feel about that. I don't know if, they're talking about people going to Mars in the next like 10 years to build, a habitat. And I'm like, do I really want to leave my family? I mean, yeah, I don't have to ever work again and probably pay taxes, and I can leave my cat behind, to feed off the land.
His cat.
What's that?
Take the cat with you. Be space cat.
Yep, exactly. Be taco cat in outer space.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Good Lord.
Exactly.
Quite honestly, just to build on top of that, me myself, like leaving family and all that. No, I wouldn't want to do that. But I ain't gonna lie, there's a part of me that is extremely interested and just curious about what zero-G sex would be like. I mean, I am really into that. How's that work? I mean, do you think it would be harder? Would it be like a waterbed? It's hard to get like,
I think it'd be like a hammock.
Traction.
I'm sure that there's contingencies like sex swings for things like that.
Would you swing? I mean, if you're in zero-G, would it just go and like stay there and just kind of do this number? Really swing?
You know what? I don't know the ins and outs of interstellar space sex, and I apologize for my lack of knowledge. But
and furthermore, how have we not gotten a movie that has really elaborated on that as of yet? I'm sure it's been in a movie.
There's probably
really
been porn.
Just gone deep. Well, you can't count porn. I mean, like a regular movie. Why hasn't there been a movie that has like really gone deep, or a show? HBO's a thing, gone real deep on zero-G sex,
literally.
So anyways, these guys decide to head to Mars. We see the shuttle take off, and
the shuttle take off.
The shuttle.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna give Nick a hard time about it.
Gotta add to the lexicon of Nick stuff that he said.
Every episode we gotta like rag on him about something he said. So.
Fucking content.
I was just gonna let it go.
So anyways, the shuttle takes off, the thing takes off, and that's when Rod Serling comes in with his mighty interesting commentary on the opening narration.
You're looking at a species of flimsy little two-legged animal with extremely small heads, whose name is Man. Warren Markison, age 35. Samuel A. Conrad, age 31. They're taking a highway into space. Man unshackling himself and sending his tiny, groping fingers into the unknown. Their destination is Mars, and in just a moment, will land there with them. Something
Now,
oddly erotic about that. Some of that verb.
oh, just wait till we get to closing narration.
See, and here's
Oh,
the thing
man.
that I find really interesting. Like, Marcuson kind of does the whole, any creature created by God is going to have, sort of a similar base and all that stuff. And then you get Rod Serling going, guys with tiny heads
And groping fingers.
and groping fingers. Yeah.
Groping fingers. Yeah. That's just weird. These are extremely small heads and groping fingers shooting up into the highway of space. Fuck.
The destination is Mars.
Or
So
Mars's ass.
Destination, the Twilight Zone.
So they head to a really weird looking planet that is definitely not Mars, and they crash land on Mars. So apparently the astronauts in this world of the Twilight Zone are terrible pilots. And I'm starting to wonder if they crash hard. But I'm starting to wonder if these pilots in the Twilight Zone are just terrible navigators. They either crash land on asteroids or they crash land on planets, and something bad always happens to them. I mean,
But did any of them ever crash through someone's front lawn?
I don't know. Ask Clint Eastwood.
Sure. Yeah, I want to step back just for a second. The rocket footage that they showed when it took off. When it took off, that was a miniature, I'm pretty sure, or something. It looked good though. I mean, for 1960 and a TV show, I thought that rocket footage of it taking off looked pretty damn good. But then the footage of it shooting up into the sky, I could not figure out if that was actual footage of some type of launch of something, or if they launched something up in the sky, because there was some little things I was like, I think that they did that. And then other things I was like, no, it's stock footage. But then I thought back, I was like, it's 1960. What stock footage of spaceships do they have going in the sky? I guess it could have just been a missile or a rocket or something, but was there that much stock footage back then of rockets going into the fucking sky?
I mean, there was a lot of experimental stuff. I don't know if they were at the rocket stage in 1960, but they sent up a lot of experimental stuff before then.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
we were already
Mercury.
going into this.
Yeah.
Mercury.
So.
I
In the
think.
60s, like in 60 though?
Yeah, I think Mercury was in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay, well.
So this is
not.
a bigger question I have. So like when they're actually in outer space and you see the rocket like heading towards Mars, or in giant air quotes Mars, like was that I thought that was a different ship. Like I thought that was a different ship, and that was crashing into like the normal rocket thing.
It looked the ship itself that it showed did look, it was like flatter.
Yeah.
It didn't show it for long, but it did look different than the ship that was shown to us in the beginning. But that may have just been a continuity error. I don't know.
Yeah. Or it could have been like the pieces like fly off, like as a rocket goes up, like the stages go, like the rockets kind of fly off of it and stuff. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it was an odd shot. It kind of took me out of the moment, honestly.
Yeah. And it was also, that was like a not CG, but a composited shot. And we don't get shots like that on Twilight Zone very often. I'm not sure if have they had one like that where they've actually shown the rocket or the ship in space flying towards its destination. That was the first
that I'm aware
composited
of.
shot like that I remember seeing on this show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ones that you see are always like, like the kind of the Jupiter 2-esque ones. But yeah, nothing quite like this.
Yeah, actually, I was looking it up while you guys were talking. The Mercury program, which I think was one of the first rocket programs, was in 1962. So this was a couple years before. But still, I mean, they're talking about this kind of stuff like in 1960 and 1950. And it's, the things that they're showing are, as weird as some of the stuff you guys were talking about, it just, some of it is pretty spot on with what, how close they were getting to the concept of what rockets were, which I'm wondering if Rod Serling knew someone who worked at NASA, because there was probably NASA in 1960. If he asked questions about this kind of stuff, still made it kind of, fantastical in its approach, but asked, maybe there was some truth to what he was doing. I don't know.
Well,
while you're looking,
is when we breached up into beyond the atmosphere. So
yeah,
I mean, everybody always looks to 1969 for when we landed on the moon, but we had been into space before 1969. So I just don't know. I don't know exactly when that was. 69 is the one that's just burned in our heads because that's when we first set foot on something other than Earth. But I don't know what year we first went off and like had rocket like spaceships essentially is what they are, that actually shuttles that went into space. So I don't know. I just thought that was a pretty neat when it showed it. I was like, I can't tell if that's something they did. If they did that just for the show, it looked really good. If it was stock footage, I'm just curious as to what it was stock footage of.
Not sure.
They went to the future. It is the Twilight Zone, so maybe they have time machines.
One thing I did find interesting, and apparently that's going to be the next episode is time machines, but so they brought up the 35 million miles between Earth and Mars. I wonder how accurate that is.
How far is Earth from Mars?
I'd look it up, but my computer will crash if I try and open up anything else.
It's that's orbital period. It is 140 million miles. 30 million miles seems like from here to the moon or some shit.
Probably. Well, it's 93 million miles from Earth to Sun.
Shit,
is that what it is?
No, is it? No, maybe. I thought it was.
From Earth to the Sun, 92,955,828.
So the Sun is closer than Mars?
Apparently.
Wow. Damn.
To us, yeah.
Yeah. No.
It's closer to us. Because we all orbit.
Well,
it is the other direction. That makes sense because the sun's in the middle. Yeah. Everything is further away from the sun.
Right. No, it seems like, I don't know. It seems like Mars should be closer than, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's red. It should be.
It is red.
It's red. Apparently, it's like it has like what they use as the model for Mars in this movie or in this episode. It's just really weird. Like especially in today's standards, now that we know what Mars looks like in real life, it's such a weird shot. Like when they're flying, but they crash land, and Sam wakes up and sees he's trying to look around in their spaceship, which apparently is like ginormous, and he is looking for Marcuson, and he finds Marcuson under a bunch of rubble, and Marcuson's passed out. So he gives him a shot of adrenaline. And they have like the smallest med kit in the history of, you think you're going to Mars, but you're coming with like a med kit that you find on a bus or something like that. But
did you guys notice that when he sees him, the Conrad? I think Conrad was the other guy, right? The guy who's under the rubble.
No, Conrad is the Sam
That's
Conrad.
Marcuson, yeah. Okay, so when we find Marcuson under the rubble, when he's looking for him, he's like, we see, because it's like a wide shot, and we see Conrad looking around. He's like, Marcuson, and he's like right there, like hiding under this rubble. I mean, he's knocked out. He's not like awake, and he's like all over, like stepping on him and everything, looking for him. And it's just all I could think about, and I don't know why, is those creepy ass Japanese McDonald's commercials with Ronald McDonald all creepy under somebody's bed, and it zooms out, and there's nothing to do with McDonald's, and like they're like, oh no, and like all this above the bed, going to bed, and he's like under there going, it's like he's like creepy ass McDonald's Ronald McDonald. But that's just me. Maybe I thought that.
But no,
did you guys see Pac-Man?
Yeah,
No.
totally did. Also,
how did you miss it?
yeah, I know there was like 3 of them.
Yeah, four.
Was it 4?
I think you can mainly only see 3, but there's like 4 of them right there, and that's from that other episode I liked. What was the one where they go to Earth? Where we think they're on Earth, but they
Third rock from
go
the
to
sun.
Earth. Yeah, third rock from the sun.
The third
and
from the
that
sun.
is actually, and that's actually from Forbidden Planet, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, more than likely that would.
It's a prop from a movie for another spaceship.
Yeah, there's a
they
lot
make a
of
return in this one, Pac-Man, and that is actually, I think, if I remember correctly, from Third from the Sun. You're right, though. I pulled up the episode, and as I was looking at the ship that went up, and I saw the ship right before that earlier in the episode. That is not the same fucking ship.
Yeah, I didn't
nothing
think so
fall
either.
off of that to make it. That's totally different ship. And Mars, it looks like a fucking womb. I don't know what that is. Like it's. I mean, I guess they didn't have like a bunch of pictures of Mars back then, so
yeah,
they
who the
just
hell
knew.
knows?
Hey, it's up there. There's a planet up there. It's called Mars.
I mean, they're in togas. They're in toga garb. So.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that. We're getting to that.
Real quick before we move on, I love how the seatbelt, like when Marcuson was thrown, and like the entire seat went, the seatbelt went, like he was still strapped in to the seatbelt like when he was pulled out of the rubble, and also the way that way that Conrad is just like hanging there by this seatbelt.
Yeah, they crash land on this planet, and of course, Sam has to use adrenaline. I think I've already said this already, but Sam has to use adrenaline to wake up Marcuson's what's that word called when he's oh shit. I do this all the time.
Body?
No, when he's like he's passed out body, yes. Anyways, and he kind of wakes up, Marcuson wakes up, he's like, did we make it? And Sam's like, no, we're dead, man. No, but he like wakes up, he's like, you know, trying to explain to him not to open the door, even though Sam's like, or no, Sam goes, we don't want to open that door. Marcuson's like, we do want to open the door, there are people out there who can save us. And Sam's like, no. And you keep hearing the knocking going on. It's just like there's a lot of back and forth, and then Marcuson passes out and officially dies, you know, halfway through this episode, which is pretty crazy to think about. But it's just I don't know. I realized what was happening after the end of the act, that there was something kind of off about, you know, the whole idea of what was going on outside. But I mean, okay, let's say you're in the situation, let's say your partner's dead or almost dying, and there are people outside. Do you just stay in there, or you leave, or what would you do in that situation? Because you never know if you're gonna get Starship Trooper aliens, or you're gonna get fucking you know, human beings, yeah, I know Jacob's putting it, he's like peace. No, what were you guys
about this situation? Two things that came to mind about this situation. This guy's really, really confident that there are people out there just because he hears knocking. I'm like, do you think human beings are the only thing, or bipedal life forms, intelligent life forms, the only thing that can knock on something? They don't know what the fuck that is. It could be a fucking tree limb. It could be a fucking a monster out there just like, what is this? A fucking woodpecker. And he's like, it's people. First of all, how do you know you're on another planet? I want to point out also, good on them. They didn't land on a fucking asteroid this time or crash. Crash on a planet. Good on them. But you don't. Why is people the first place you go? You're on another planet and you hear a knocking. If you do think it's a living organism out there, people, that's not the first thing that comes to mind with me. I'm on a fucking alien planet. Knocking. If I think it's a living thing out there, probably not people. Probably something else that wants to eat me. But okay, let's say that they have monitors or something, like, you know, a spaceship would, that shows people out there. They're like, it's people. Okay. Much like they've done many times in this show, which it was the 60s. We'll cut them a break. They just open the fucking door. He's like, hey, we're on another planet, different atmosphere, no fucking air. Let's just open the fucking door. Why? I'm sure it's okay. Let's not check anything. Let's not put a helmet on. Let's not get some oxygen, whatever. Let's not even put a fucking glove on. Let's just open the fucking door. Because why? Because there's knocking.
Because clearly Mars has atmospheric oxygen and CO2, and clearly they've never watched, you know, The Martian or something, where or they've never watched Total Recall, for God's sakes. You know, if you take off your hat, your eyes bulge. You're like, ah.
I mean, at least in that one episode where they went to like the cemetery planet or asteroid or whatever it was, they did at least in that one say something along the lines of air's breathable or something's out there. Atmosphere. They said something, which I was like, oh, okay, that's neat. They didn't just open the door. No, this one, he's just like, fuck it. Open it. Why not? Well, let's see what happens, you know? 50-50.
Well, and at that point, though, what would you do? Like, your options are to stay inside a busted ass rocket that may or may not explode at any time. And you're in there with a dude that is essentially, after, you know, jiggling around his internal parts way too much, which, why the hell did he do that?
Hey, maybe he's a cannibal necrophiliac. You don't know.
Even so, you know, you don't have a good refrigeration. Eventually, you're gonna have to leave the damn rocket. You know.
Well, the best part
of there's not air out there. I'm just gonna stay in that motherfucker until the air runs out.
That's true.
See, the best part about this before the end of the first act is the main door opens, and then you get that real dramatic camera in pull, and you get that bombastic music, like the real, you know, orchestral. Yeah, it's like it's like, and he's holding the gun. He's like, and you know, it's an amazing shot.
Head, like, he's poke out like, what's going on out here, guys?
Yeah, but I mean, that is the first act, literally right at that moment, like. You know, at this point, I didn't even know how this was going to end. I didn't know what was going on, but it's a very short act. it literally gets us to Mars. There's very bombastic and dramatic camera stuff going on at the very end of the first act.
Get your ass to Mars.
I was just thinking
Exactly.
that.
Get your ass to Mars. And I mean, before we actually see the real true premise of what Mars has intact and lays forward, what were you guys thinking? What was your overall feeling on this first act? It's really goofy, but it has like some dramatic tension. And it has some interesting things to say about what people's feelings and thoughts are. So what do you guys think?
I thought it was a decent first act. It builds tension. I don't have too much bad to say about it. Like, there's little weird shit, but it's nothing that's outside the realm of normal Twilight Zone. Especially episodes that take place in space. They're gonna follow this kind of format. So
I mean, I was giving this one, talking shit about Pac-Man and seatbelts and opening doors and all that. But in all honesty, I mean, I like these type of episodes like this.
Mhm.
I like the spacefaring ones, and
yeah.
I was liking this one. I was digging it up to this point. I mean, the halfway point of this episode is only 10 minutes in, so we still got 14 more minutes. It's longer. It's a bottom heavy. But I was liking it. I had no idea where it was going. I didn't know what it was he saw, because we don't see what he sees until after the break.
Mhm.
I thought maybe there was gonna be some like little people out there or something, but no, that's not what it was. I wasn't expecting Romans, and yeah, I
It could have been
certainly
Greek.
Yeah, true. I wasn't expecting, probably more Greek than Roman, but also wasn't expecting it to be a Vivarium, but that's where we'll get. Any of you that know what that means, then
Yeah. I
just
think I
gave
know
it
what you're talking
away.
about. Well, no, but this
go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I mean, this kind of hits after the break, but is it weird that a planet exterior looks more fake than the asteroid exteriors that actually take place out in the real world?
Yeah, it's because the exterior of this one was a big ass matte painting with like 2 foam rocks in front of it.
Yeah, I know. But it's so funny because you think like a planet, you would think expansive and crazy, whereas the asteroids that shouldn't be expansive and crazy are actually like real landscapes.
I mean, what is the difference between an asteroid and a planet in this show? I mean, you go out there and they look
Probably
the
not
same.
probably not that much, honestly. Well, a planet is always a fake background. An asteroid is
Yeah.
always real.
Both of them have air.
Yes,
And
exactly. And
atmosphere.
sunlight.
Gravity.
Yeah.
In the world of
People
Twilight
that
Zone,
speak English.
let's say in the world of Twilight Zone, you can go anywhere and everywhere and survive with oxygen.
Yay.
It's our world perfect. No, but it's funny. Star Trek did this where a lot of the backgrounds were fake and CGI, or not CGI but fake and matte paintings.
Not
And,
CGI.
Yeah, no, not CGI in the bed. But anyways, and then I was watching. I go back and I've been going back and watching like Family Matters and Step by Step on HBO Max, and they do a lot of the same shit too. Like they'll have like a big background. It's just a matte painting. You can actually see the creases in the matte painting where they kind of put it together. And it's just like, good lord, like we haven't learned
like
in
one of
30,
those
like
big-
40 years.
Big tarps they put down behind people when they get pictures made at portrait studios.
Yeah.
Like a
Exactly.
city backgrounds.
Exactly. But that pretty much brings us into the second act. And as Jacob has alluded to, we have basically time traveled back to the Roman days, because apparently they didn't have costume makers on the Twilight Zone. So they're just like, what looks alien? Oh, I guess they were just filming like Caligula or something like that. So we'll take the uniforms from Caligula.
Greek.
Yeah.
That's Roman. Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
alien. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a thought
And hey,
on
Roddy
that. and-
McDowell. Roddy
Yeah.
McDowell.
Yeah.
He was in Caligula.
No,
wasn't
that
he?
was
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell.
That was Malcolm McDowell. Okay, there was a McDowell in it.
It was a
Yeah,
McDowell,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
McDowell.
There was a McDowell in it.
That's the same difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
they're all
do
the
have
same.
a thought on why they're dressed like that, just from a symbolistic or a symbolic perspective. So one of the things that they talked about was how this drew from the way that Martians looked at Earth people as being like inferior, and that's ultimately why they put Sam where he ends up at the end. So like the Romans were very like high tech or Greeks too. They were kind of high tech and well respected, and they knew their shit for the time. So that's probably supposed to be a representation of something along those lines, maybe.
Well, if you go on the ride at Epcot, which is called Spaceship Earth, you will learn about how the Romans did a whole bunch of shit And then we got greedy and like fearful, and then we burned everything down in the Dark Ages. But during the Renaissance, we found a little bit of ourselves. So yes, so that's actually a good point, Triv. The whole idea of the Roman Empire and how sophisticated they were and how weird and creepy they were as well. And you know, these when you come out of the ship, when Sam comes out of the ship, these people are not talking. They're not. He literally does the Stargate thing where he's like drawn on the ground of like the symbols of Earth and shit, and they just eventually find out. He finds out that they have. Actually wrote it down. Let me see if I can find it.
There's basically hypnotism or telepathy or something.
Well,
they reach into his brain.
Yeah, they call it unconscious transferring.
Earworms from. They had the earworms from Hitchhiker's Guide from to the Galaxy.
Dude, that would be so much better.
But they're like he's like, oh, you can speak English. Like, no, you're speaking our language. It's like, okay, cool. So they start talking and they're like, oh, we're gonna make a house for you. We're gonna get you a setup, but you're gonna have to sleep in your ship for a few hours while we do that. And that's when the girl with like the very limited role in the episode, Tanya Harding. She's like the person that's trying to warn him, and he doesn't listen. So
no.
Markinson's dead, of course, as they find, and he it's funny because it's like a big group of people, but you don't ever see them talk or anything outside of like the 2 or 3 people. But I mean, you get out of the ship and you see Roman Martians. What do you do?
I don't start hitting on the first one that appeals to me.
I mean, I'm gonna go the opposite route, and I know the Romans and the Greeks especially was some freaks. So I'm gonna be like, where are we partying, guys?
But you don't know what kind of things
ladies,
they're carrying. Do they even have the right parts?
That could make it all the more interesting. Jeez, they might have tentacles and all kinds of stuff coming out. So
have you seen Galaxy Quest?
Sure.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. what can they touch with all that? And you know, I mean, I'm explorative and open to new things when it comes to all that. You know, let's check it out. What you got going on down there?
So you're not going to leave the ship, but when you do, you're going to go balls to the walls and get up. You know,
hey, man,
get yourself up to your freaking eyeballs and alien.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, if I'm going out that door, let's go out with a bang. Hopefully, a few of them.
What if she's like a praying mantis and rips your head off?
You know what? I had a good time
hopefully,
fucking a Martian.
Exactly. Hopefully it is worth it up to that point. It's like, oh, that was like an epic of epicness. That was like, I'm ready to die now. Oh, here we go. So, you know,
I mean, if you
when in Mars.
Yeah, I guess
exactly.
so.
You see the orgy in Caligula, maybe it's like that. And just
one interesting bit that does kind of relate back. So do you ever remember like the sexy green alien from the original Star Trek? Like it was the Cage, the very first episode. She's all green and had black hair and stuff, doing erotic dances.
I've seen it, but I can't remember. I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, so
it's pretty much green like Gamora, and that's about it.
Yeah. So that's the same person as the
woman.
Tina, in this one.
Whatever.
And the stories are very similar as well. So
look at her. Look at that. She goes green. Right on.
That's right. Yeah. Wow.
She hooked up with Captain Kirk. He's a pimp.
And did you say what her name is in that episode?
I didn't look it up.
Vina. So she just got rid of the T and put Vina. It's like
all her roles end with Ina. This is my new
very
role.
Possibly.
Vina. Cena.
Majorina. Regina.
Vagina.
Oh, good Lord. Vagina. No, Nina.
Vagina.
Anyway.
Okay. So basically it's the next morning. He comes out of the ship, they come around the corner because apparently they can sense when he's coming, and
that's what she said.
Well, he's like, okay, so you have a place built for me. He's like, you have a place built for me, and the look on Tina's face is kind of telling, because actually I meant to say when the second act opens and they offered him a house and they offered him a place, and the look on her face, I knew where this was going. I knew exactly where it was going. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I remember this very, very well. Not the episode, but I remember the kind of plot, twist that happens. But they take him to a house, a building, a structure, something with, possibly windows, maybe not, but it looks like a normal house. And they take him in, and like, here, you're gonna stay, can you stay here for a while? And he's like, sure. Then Tina's like looking at him weird, and they basically leave him to his vices, and they close the door, and he drinks like the best scotch, smokes the best cigarettes. He's a true
He's a happy boy.
Yeah, he's a Hugh Hefner of Mars. He seems like he's excited and happy and willing to die with the Martians.
Cigarettes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All he needed was "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster" playing in the background.
Oh, right. Exactly. And so he goes to the door, and the door is locked. The door won't open. He tries the other doors. Nothing will work. He goes to the curtains, and don't you hate when you open up the curtains and there's no windows, and you rip down the curtains, there's like nothing there, and you don't know what's going on
all the time.
I know, right? You wake up in fear.
Well,
and
I have no windows in this room, so I'm under.
Waiting for that wall to open. But the wall, he's looking around. He's like freaking out. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And all of a sudden, the wall opens to the room, and he looks out. There's cage bars and stuff like that, like bars on the thing. And he sees all the Martians like staring at him, and I'm like, oh yeah. So this reminds me of an episode The Simpsons did a few years ago, where Homer and the crew they're basically invited by King and Kodos to go to their home planet of whatever the planet is. I can never I always say Persei 8, but that's from Futurama, but it's whatever planet King and Kodos are from. And it's the exact same plot point. They get stuck in a habitat, and he's basically a zoo creature. He's being watched as it says, Earth creatures in their native habitat. And he realizes, he says like, oh yes, people are like all over, or people are like everywhere. And I think it's a pretty stellar twist that you don't really see coming if you don't think about it. But I have to ask you guys, what did you think about that twist? Like I said, it's very much like I said that, it's been done like a billion times before. It's been done twice on The Simpsons, and I'm sure it's been done in other episodes, like you said, The Cage. But what did you guys think of that twist? Did you at some point start to see what was starting to happen? Did you realize that Sam was kind of fucked from the moment he landed on Mars? Like, what do you guys think?
I kind of saw, and I don't know where my brain went here, but I kind of, the way that they appeared as human to him, for some reason I had it in my head that like they were welcoming him to the planet, but they were actually like putting, when they got talking about all the basically telepathy that they were going back and forth with his brain, I assumed that they were modeling themselves on things that he knew. And then at the big reveal, it was going to be at the end that they were actually like multi-armed tentacled creatures with like crazy eyes, giant boobs, and large asses,
Hey, I'll deal with that.
I like where her mind's going.
Exactly. But obviously it didn't go there. And the human, or the interstellar zoo, that's a relatively common like thing you see. Like I remember seeing Looney Tunes with it. There's been a lot of other stuff since that I'm sure took inspiration from this. So
I did not get where it was going. I did make a note here around the halfway point after he talked to the people, but prior to going to the house and finding out he was locked in there, I made a note, and my note says, something's up with these people, ... Because I was like, something's not right here, but I don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was. He's going around, obviously he's locked in, and when you see the light come from behind him and he turns around and he looks out, before he looked out, I thought, oh, it's going to be like an observation window, which I was kind of right, and they're going to be like running tests on him or something like that, or something along those lines, some experimental thing, which I wasn't too far off. But no, he's in a zoo, and it wasn't until it showed the bars and the people looking at him, immediately I was like, he's in a zoo. It's I didn't know it, and I don't know, I thought that was a pretty good twist. Now it is a twist, this essentially, and I don't know if this was the first one or not, like we find with a lot of Twilight Zone episodes where, and I've said this a bunch of times, I don't know if this is the first one, but this was one of the early ones for sure. We've seen this twist or something along these lines happen a whole lot in sci-fi, especially sci-fi, throughout the years. And it is kind of neat to go back and see one of the OGs, one of the original ones that popularized it. But yeah, I did not see it coming at all. And I like and once again, that might be because I was like frantically watching this episode as if I could make it go faster. Yeah, I like those kind of episodes. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it didn't have a lot of fat on it. It did what it came here to do what it does, and it did it.
Yeah.
And I thought
Solid
it did it
episode.
well.
Yeah. Did you notice when they were introducing Sam to his living accommodations, when they were getting ready to leave, there's the two guys that kind of did the weird, it wasn't a high five, it was like a yeah, we got him type of a handshake thing. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. Like, it's like, what the hell was that?
I didn't see it, but I was hopefully it was the Demolition Man handshake where they go.
It's kind of like the commando. It was kind of like the commando between Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Schwarzenegger.
It was kind of like that, but it was over the guy.
Bitch.
It was kind of over the guy's shoulder, so it was kind of a reverse commando.
A reverse commando. Ooh.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
It was kind of like over his shoulder, like he kind of like turns around a little bit and does that. I made note of it because it was kind of funny. It's
And
like, oh, is that a
showing the house when they're walking away from the house?
when they're walking like back through the living room? Like, they show them the kitchen and then they're walking back through the living room area. The two main guys, like, one of them turns around and kind of gives the guy behind him like a kind of a handshake thing. Or am I crazy?
I'm assuming it's right here. Well, they haven't done anything yet. They're talking about expressing interest in seeing our city, meeting our people.
I don't think I'm crazy.
You know, Roddy McDowall. Wait, is this Roddy? Yeah, this is Roddy McDowall, right? Yeah, Malcolm McDowell's the other one.
Yeah.
Roddy McDowall really is a really good actor.
He's excellent.
Oh yeah, they did. Well, it was kind of okay. I see what you're talking about. They did do like a underhanded handshake.
Like, it's a weird handshake.
But what made it weird was the one guy did it like this, like, yeah. The other guy was walking away and he did it across like this. So he did like that's what made it seem weird. So it was essentially that same Schwarzenegger Carl Weathers thing, but he just kind of did it from a weird angle.
Yeah.
And they went.
It was awkward.
I thought you meant like he was like this or something. I was like, how did I miss that? I want to see that.
I didn't mean to build up your expectations.
Damn it. If I ever make a movie, I'm definitely putting that handshake in there just randomly in the middle of it.
It's a weird Masonic handshake or something.
You know, the teen yell like runs away screaming like she's seen like a dead person or something like that, and that's where the episode ends. But I have to ask you guys, do you agree with the themes of like racism and stuff like that, or do you have different themes that you think come out of this episode? Like, what do you think this episode's trying to tell people? That's actually something I've always probably should put in the episode. What are the themes of this episode?
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, one of the things that IMDb said, and I don't know how much this is one way or the other, but there was a thing about Sam Conrad's fate as a zoo attraction due to him being declared an inferior species resembles the real life experience of a 4'11" African guy that was put on display in the Bronx Zoo in 1906. And I mean, there is, you talk racism. I mean, that definitely kind of relates back to that, you know, how we all have those people that we consider less than what we are. So yeah, not necessarily racism per se, but definitely like thinking less of people because of some trait. And that definitely, however you define that, if it's racism, if it's sexism, if it's, you know, where you're from or whatever, that does definitely play into this.
I'm not saying maybe they were trying to do some type of racism. I mean, not do racism. They're trying to commentate on racism. Yeah, highlight and comment on it. That's possibly, but that's not what I came to initially. I did come to like the whole, I think maybe I saw a little bit more the irony between, you know, we look at this, we're like horrified. Oh my God, they put this man in a zoo. But then we think about kind of, it goes along the lines of what you're saying a second ago. When we as human beings, as people, find something odd, and if an alien came to our planet, I wouldn't put it above us to put it on display. Oh, yeah. Whether it would be outright behind bars in a zoo or not, if we saw ourselves as, or viewed it as inferior to us as far as like its intellect, I would totally see us putting it on display for people to see, be it through means of like television or actually where people could come and see it. I don't know, but I do actually see that, and I find it odd that we're led, where we are meant to believe or meant to think in the moment, oh my God, but then when you get to thinking about it, you're like, I mean, would your kind do much different?
Yeah.
Isn't this kind of what they would do anyway? I mean, it's almost like looking in the mirror. I mean, yes, just because you as an individual would not do this does not mean that your kind has not and would not do the exact same thing. So I mean, it is kind of like putting a mirror up in front of us and saying, you're no better. They're just doing exactly what you would do. What by you? I mean, your people. You people.
Well, and that does
But
go
yeah,
to
it could
show
definitely
you.
there could be a parallel to racism as well. I could see that in there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's although we see it as racism, I do think that it is a blanket statement for kind of like everything. I mean, and it just goes to show, even if you take it on the very general premise that, when Marcuson at the beginning was very much like, there's a soul, there's a heart, people will always be people regardless of where they are. And then at the end, you see the dark side of that as, they captured a living sentient creature and put it in a cage, and other people looked at it, that there was deception. There was a lot of that stuff. So you could see it, it's two sides of the same coin. You're capable of good and evil.
Well, it's
Clearly, Rod
also
Serling was a vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an advocate for veganism is what this is.
It's kind of funny if you think about it. I always go back to the Google Gobble scene in Freaks Todd Browning film, and how kind of the message of that is the freaks aren't the people that have like the mental disorders and stuff like that, and the short guy and stuff like that. It's the people that are like putting him down and stuff like that. And it just when I kind of question, when I bring it into like this show episode here, the idea of people staring at other people, that people look at them differently and stuff like that. There's always, like you guys said, there's that what's the easiest way to put it, we're always wanting to look at the freak shows, but really we're the freaks looking at the freak show. It's just, it really is a weird, interesting kind of thing to think about, and that kind of spherical realm, I guess you could say. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just was thinking about that when I was watching that the Freaks from Todd Browning, how we are tempted by this, the stupidest things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, who's the freak? The one who looks a little bit different, or the one who's putting it on display and watching it and oohing and eahing and laughing about it? I mean, you're the fucking freak.
Yeah, very much so.
I am.
So yeah,
Anyway.
so that's the end of the episode. Like I said, it's I think it's one of the better endings to an episode. I don't know if it's an episode I truly adore, on the simple fact that maybe it's a little bottom heavy, like Jacob said, but I mean, we'll get to it when we get to the list. But we still have the pretty lengthy closing narration, which is actually quite interesting, quite something. So,
species of animal brought back alive. Interesting similarity in physical characteristics to human beings in head, trunk, arms, legs, hands, feet. Very tiny, underdeveloped brain. Comes from a primitive planet named Earth. Calls himself Samuel Conrad, and he will remain here in his cage with the running water and the electricity and the central heat as long as he lives. Samuel Conrad has found the Twilight Zone.
Deep.
Yeah, what a
you
dark,
could,
twisted ending.
Yeah, you could, and just the way that they talk about the modern conveniences in there, you could even kind of take from that, like, there's a lot of people that hold themselves captive as long as they're comfortable.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, he's got everything that they say you need. That's a good point. Yeah. Everything they say that consumerism tells you that you need, he has, but he's still a prisoner. He's captive. He's not happy because what he doesn't have is freedom.
Exactly. And a lady. He needs like a sex doll or something.
Oh, she might be back. I think she's gonna be visiting. We need to see the sequel.
Exactly.
She's gonna break him out Free Willy style, and he's gonna Free Willy on that ass.
He's like, but I mean, yeah, like I said, it's an episode that does have a lot of meaning behind what it's trying to say. It definitely has a purpose of be careful, the laziness and the way we think, and it's kind of an episode about throwing it back in your face a little bit, and be careful of how you say and how you speak and all that good stuff. So on that note, was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about on the episode? Anything you wanted to speak now before you hold your peace, or however you say that expression?
So this is kind of random, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything of note. But I love the fact when he's drinking the whatever it was it scotch or bourbon, whatever booze he was pouring out.
Scotch.
He like puts his finger in there, and then he like like dabs behind both his ears. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I looked it up just because I was curious. I didn't know if it was like a thing from that era or something funny. The only reference I could find to it in the short search that I did was in Major League, like Bob Udecker, like dabbed behind the back of both of his ears, as a joke to say, oh, this guy really enjoys booze. But that was the only thing that really played in. I just thought it was really interesting.
Interesting. That seems like some shit that McDowall brought to it. It wasn't in the script. He just came up and did that, and they're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I don't know, but I like it.
Yeah.
Some weird shit. Only thing I'll say about it is I thought this episode was. I've said this before too. I thought it was traditional Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fairly tight. Yeah, it was fairly tight. It had a pretty solid opening first half that got you interested in what's going on. Ends on kind of, or not ends, but goes to break on the big and then you've got something else going on. You don't know what it is, but you're going to figure it out. And then it ends with a twist. And I thought it was solid, man. Solid from beginning to end. There was never a point where I was bored and just kind of like, okay, come on. Yeah. It wasn't like end heavy where it was like the ending made it. Just the whole thing kind of, I mean, the ending was kind of, a zinger, but I thought that all of it kind of worked well together. And this was it the best? No, but it was far from the worst. This is one of them episodes that if somebody's like, what's Twilight Zone all about? This is one of the episodes I'd be like, check that one out. That's classic Twilight Zone.
It kind of felt like a world of difference. Like it was like a good solid episode. It did what it, like I said, it did what it needed to do. It did it in decent time. It was well acted. It's solid.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think this is an episode that is so traditional Twilight Zone that maybe it suffers because of some of the other episodes that we've seen, like Monster Do a Maple Street or Time Enough at Last or Purple Testament, where it almost feels like, somewhat slow in its movement? Because it was really weird where, like, I know I'm watching a Twilight Zone episode, but it just felt like it was strange to even think about. Do you think maybe it's too traditional, or do you think it's just right? Do you think it's like the Goldilocks Three Bears where it's the last one, just right type of situation? Or I don't know. Maybe it's just me thinking that.
I mean, I would say, like, looking at this, and Jacob said it best, like, this is one of the OGs of like this kind of story, kind of like human in a universal species zoo. And like I don't remember a lot of things discussing this previously, like maybe Looney Tunes, and there might have been one or two others, but like this was, like a lot of stuff Twilight Zone, those great stories originated on like, a visual medium here. And I don't know, I thought it was, the traditional aspect of it didn't strike me that way. Like it just felt like a really solid episode of a show that I really loved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just me who was thinking that, but I was just curious of what.
Yeah, that's okay.
You guys say, yeah.
It's still a fair point.
So the Twilight Zone list, week by week, where we rank, and then we kind of put in our list of what we think is from 1 to 156. We'll eventually get to. Where would you guys put this? Like, do you think this is like a top half type episode? Do you think it's a bottom half? Like, where would you guys? I mean, is it better than What You Need? Is it better than Third from the Sun? Is it worse than Third from the Sun? Where would you guys put this?
It's a good question. No, I'm trying to. I'm trying to think for myself here.
What, like, as far as like spacefaring episodes, would you rank this as like a middle of those types of episodes so far? Would you rank it above or below? I mean, how would you, if you were to break this down to, astronauts landing on a planet and something crazy like Elegy happens, like, would you think this is better than Elegy? Would you think it's worse than Elegy? Which I think Elegy is our highest ranking space episode. I was just going to ask
that. Yeah, Elegy had the ending of it. Just I think that's what made that episode really good, was that kind of shock of, oh my god.
But it's that shock. I think this episode is more fulfilling than Elegy. But Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this one, I enjoyed this one more than Elegy. Elegy kind of had that goofiness going on. That's the one where they're on the
funeral planet,
Asteroid,
yeah, Asteroid.
Remember, that one, Asteroid is real. Planet is fake.
But I enjoyed this one more than that. I thought this was a more solid episode. I thought it had what it had to say. I didn't feel like Elegy had a tremendous amount to say. It had a little bit, which we went into. I thought it was just kind of a neat little twist. I felt like this one had more to put out there into the world and more of a message. And not that a message necessarily makes something better, but in this instance, I thought it was just a tighter told story. Elegy was interesting, but it kind of went on for quite a while. And it was neat, and I wasn't bored with it, but it just went on for quite a while, and it started to lose some of its luster there before they met the robot man. This one, I never felt like that. I mean, it moved along in a nice little clip. It kept you interested in what was going to happen next. Elegy was more about there's this one issue. We're going to stay on that for a while, and you're wondering what is it, and then you find out what it is, and it's over. Or you find out what it is, and then the thing happens. This one's more like, where are they at? You find that out. What's going on? You find that out. Who's on the outside of the door? There were a lot of little problems and little mysteries that were put out there, and we found it's like we kept getting rewarded for finding out these little mysteries. What's on the other side of the door? Where are they taking him? Why is he here? You know, what's going to happen to what's his name? I thought that was just more interesting, more fulfilling overall.
And I kind of stand by what I said before. I kind of equate this one as sort of like a world of difference. Like it's sort of like it's a solid, just good episode front to back.
Is it better? Like The Hitchhiker and Above are probably the cream of the crop so far of episodes, depending on your view. Would you put this above World of Difference? Would you put it above Mirror Image? Would you put it below those? Like I'm looking between 8 and 11, somewhere around there. I know, Jacob, you said 8, right?
A World of Difference was at 8. No, I was saying I just liked it better than Elegy. World of Difference, that's the one we just watched. That's that's the one with where he goes out of the TV show or the movie. I like this one more than that. I liked it just based as that episode. I liked it more than A World of Difference. Better than The Hitchhiker. Man, The Hitchhiker's really good. It's Nan Adams.
Oh, we didn't have a Nan Adams reference in this one.
Oh no, she shows up right after the credits and wipes out all the people that are watching. She comes in Tokyo Drift style, just and kills them all. It's kind of like what it is, and we find out in this episode, Nan Adams is actually a part of Death Race 2000. And the more people she can take out, she gets points for them. And right there is when she's driving by. It's kind of like when they're driving by the old folks' home and they see all the people and they wheel them out. Those people right there. She's like, fuck it, kids and all. Slaughters all of them. It's great. She just got a whole bunch of points for this episode. We just don't see it. It's implied.
You know what? I assume that she's the one.
Ambiguous ending. When it ends on him going, they're all alike, and his eyes get real big, that's because he saw Nan just coming in Tokyo Drift style. And he cuts and he's like, oh my god.
I was thinking that she's probably what caused the plane or the rocket to crash.
Maybe.
We could go with that, but she's caused a few things to crash already, and she was saying, you know what, they're gonna expect it was me. They're gonna be wondering the whole time, what caused it to crash? Was it Nan? Did she fishtail into him? No, she said, I'm coming in, I'm bringing up the rear this time.
Cool.
So let me actually ask you guys this question then. I know, Jacob, I know how you feel about Perchance to Dream, but do you think this is better than with like One for the Angels? Do you think this is like a top 7 episode, I guess, or do you want to go further than that? I mean, you guys tell me. Like I said, I could go up to like number 6, but like I said, it's just depending on how you guys feel about it.
Well, we know how Jacob feels about Perchance to Dream, so
the cat lady episode.
Obviously, I mean, I'm good anywhere above 8, honestly, because it's a really good episode. It moves at a good pace. Like, I mean, all the things that we've already talked about are in its favor. It's got an ending you wouldn't expect. Not that that's the only thing, but it's a nice thing for it.
It's got a great pace.
Yeah, very much so.
Not all Twilight Zone episodes have, and you would think there's like pace in 24 minutes, including credits. But no, like it just does. Some Twilight Zone episodes, even though they're great episodes and I enjoy them, there's that lull, which a lull in a 24-minute episode is like a minute or two, but still it's that part in the story where it's like, okay, all right, we picked it back up. I didn't feel like this one ever had it, man. It was just kind of like, it was great pace, very solid episode overall. I don't hate Perchance to Dream. I just think it's got a hell of a lull in there where it's like nothing's really happening, And
no, gotcha.
It doesn't. It's got a great ending, but you take that ending away and it's like, what was going on before then. It was neat at first, but then it just kept on going. But I mean, me myself, I would. One for the Angels was the devil, the little girl.
Yep,
and
the guy doing the
little street
pitch.
urchin guy.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Time Enough at Last. That was wait.
That's where he loses his glasses and
Time Enough at Last is the one I was actually thinking of. Perchance to Dream is. Oh no, Perchance to Dream. No, I don't like that episode. That's the roller coaster episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one where he's in his head. I mean, same thing. Big lull in the middle. Great ending. It's Time Enough at Last that has like when he went off after he wakes up in the Rip Van Winkle's in the fucking vault. He comes out and it's like, okay, this is cool, but then it just kind of goes on, and then it has a banger of an ending. I mean, I did not like it better than the Purple Testament. That's a tough one for me. I'd be cool with going over Perchance to Dream because you're right. I didn't. Perchance to Dream was not for me. Wasn't feeling that one. So me myself, if you guys put it above it, I know how you guys feel about Perchance to Dream. It's okay. I will concede. But if you guys were like, I kind of want to go over Perchance to Dream, or like under whatever you call it, higher up, I'd be okay with that.
I'm okay putting it above Perchance.
Yeah, here's how I look. I think the ending of this episode is a classic. I mean, it's been done a billion times, but it is a classic, especially back in.
It was
think
done
about
here
1960.
It was done here first, though.
Yeah, exactly. But think about 1960. Like this ending would have fucking killed. Like it would have been slayed. It would have been ghost facing people. It was that type of episode. But Perchance to Dream, like I said, you go back and watch it now after we watch these episodes, we may think differently. I don't know, Jacob. I wish Jacob had been here for that episode, so it would probably been Under the Fever or some shit. But
no, not quite there. But I ain't gonna lie, them dream sequences, I was just like, oh my god, come on.
I don't know if I can put it above One for the Angels, because that One for the Angels hits you like in the guy's like, peace, little kid, peace. No, I'm just kidding. It has like a really emotional pack to it. And Time Enough at Last is just an episode that ending is so iconic. It's just hard to go above that. But episode. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, So you think number 6 is good?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm happy.
Man, I never thought this episode would be that high. Holy shit.
I honestly didn't either.
If people are like,
if you take Perchance to Dream, you knock it down some, we'd probably be talking lower episode. That one's up there. Just
every episode.
Exactly. The Mighty Casey. It's clearly above Perchance.
It had a great Perchance to Dream had a really good the ending was really good and all that. I liked that. I liked the idea behind it. I guess it would be the execution of that middle portion was just like, good God, fucking Nodo or not Nodos. NyQuil.
Nodos, NyQuil, same thing.
It's funny. I actually
exact opposite.
I'm kidding.
Every once in a while, I'll go back and watch some of the episodes that we did that we had before Jacob, and it's like, man, it's like a whole different experience now. It's kind of crazy, but
you complete us, Jacob.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this list, I don't know if it would have been different. I could have been outvoted, but I definitely would have had some things to say about some of them. Most of them I'm cool with. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's cool where it's at, but definitely would have had to say something about number 6. Because
old number 6, not new number 6.
Here's the thing. Here's what blows me away about Perchance to Dream. This is another, and maybe you guys' fault. It was so high on the list. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good. What the fuck, But like prior to me coming on here, let's see, we watched Monsters Do on Maple Street. We watched Purple Testament. Time Enough at Last. We did not watch that one. One for the Angel. So before I got on here, Perchance to Dream was one.
Would have been 5th.
Third. No, it was like 3rd or 4th. I think it was 3rd. Let me see. You guys had watched Walking Distance, which is your number 1 before I got on here.
It would have been Walking Distance, Angels, and then Perchance.
Okay, it was number 4. It was the 4th one on our list. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is a banger. Yeah, no. But hey, to each his own.
See, I think it was the ballsy. I think it was the fact that like you just didn't see suicide was not something that happened a lot at that time, and it's like the balls to do that. I don't know that aspect of it, and I know that's the ending, and that's not the entire thing, but like, And there was a kind of a talk about mental health, which again was not something that was talked about at that point.
I'm gonna need to go back and watch you guys' episode of that, because I've watched all the episodes, but I watched them or listened to them like in the car, like as they were coming out.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like, when I was listening to that one, I was like, I haven't seen this episode.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, Jacob, when we went into that episode, I actually didn't like Perchance to Dream. It was when we started talking about it and Triv used her voodoo that she would do, on me. It was
shit.
Triv's fault.
So now it's all my fault. I'm sorry. I will.
No, apparently I liked it. I mean, it's just what it is.
I'll leave.
Oh, please don't leave.
I'll leave.
You see the cursor? Oh, Jesus. So anyway, with that said, the new number 6 is People Are Like All Over. No, wait, hold on a second. Is that right?
She's coming back?
Yes.
I think you're really scared of her.
I'm sorry.
You told her to leave.
Her eyes are closed. You can't get rid of that smile, so we know you're not. We know you're fine.
You need to have like a frown. You need to animate a frowny face.
You know how difficult it is to add a frowny face to this?
Maybe add it to a button or something so it overrides. Frowny face. And you got to have big wide eyes when you do it, and you got to look to the side like.
And I can do stuff like this.
You know, shifty eyes.
That's unnerving.
Okay, so let's finish this
Stop
up.
it.
So new number 6 is going to be The People Are Like All Over. Pretty high. Not expecting that when we started this episode. Number 1, of course, Monsters to Do on Maple Street. Number 25 is The Fever. And next episode is called Execution, written by Rod Serling, directed by David Ulrich McDermott. Long name.
McDermott?
And as Triv has pronounced, or as Triv has said, it is a time travel episode, which I'm really intrigued. I don't remember the episode, but it sounds like a good premise. So anyways, that'll do it. That'll be our episode, season 1, episode 25. People Are Like All Over. I appreciate you guys coming on to do the Twilight Zone. And Jacob, when they want to see your content eventually in true 4K, where can they find it at?
You can find it at Jacob Anders Reviews on the YouTubes, where I release videos right now every other day. But soon I will be releasing video content I think maybe by the time this comes out, or shortly thereafter, every day again, because I like to put myself through that pain. And around the time you're hearing this, I will have put out, hopefully, I would have watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre by that point and been able to partake in the conversation about that glorious film that I hear about, and some other stuff. And I'm thinking, depending on the date, Batman not yet. Batman coming soon. Not the movie. I mean, my review. The movie's coming soon too. But anyway, check out my gaming channel, Jacob Anders Gaming, and I'm over on the bird, Twitter at Red Neville 2. Take it away, Triv, because I'm just digging this hole deeper and deeper.
Well, when my eyes like to move all over the screen, you can find me here on the YouTubes at Trivial Theater. I just put out, well, by the time this comes up, I will have put out, what the hell is it called? Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies, with the dude that happens to be either to my left or to my right. Actually, I'm standing.
Or above you.
That's true. Wherever Nick ends up being, we just did a collab on Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies, and it's funny as hell, and you totally need to check it out. And I will have put out another collab coming up. I just don't know if it's going to be out by the time that this comes out, but it'll be out shortly after, if not. And you can find me on Twitter at trivia_chick.
And for myself, who is the moderator / co-host / guy running channel / probably has seen the Batman. Yes, I am your bat host on a bat channel.
You're a bat ho? Nice.
I'm a bat ho. Yes. Anyways, you can find my content on, of course, Movie Emporium, Twitter, Movie Emporium. A lot of content, doing my TV reviews of like 3 different shows right now. So that's a nightmare and a half, but it's fun. And I should have maybe by the time this episode posts, I can't remember. should have my Batman review up because I am lucky enough to see it early, thanks to some weird god-like powers. I have no idea how this happened, but anyways, that'll do it. That'll be our episode for people who are like all over. And for Triv, myself, and Jacob, we'll see you guys in the Twilight Zone in a future episode. Peace out.
Ah.
Nanu.
Cough. So today we're going to be talking about an episode that is cough. Cough. No, we're going to be we're going to be talking about an episode that Pringles. Where was I going? Oh shit. Indiana Jones. We're going to spout random words out.